Let's take a look at how the Teen Talk script works. For each episode, I will be making a copy of the master script and then sharing that amongst everybody who will be on that show that week. The Teen Talk script then is a living document. So if there are 5 or 6 people working on the show, every person will have access to the exact same script. And the way Google Docs works is everybody can actually type at the same time in different portions of the script. So if you are a producer, the first thing you're going to do is come in and change some of the key information, such as Teen Talk script date for. In this particular one, it's in the title, and it's for 9/9. So I would change this, and I would go 9.9.1. 6, and then air date is 9/9/2016, and then I would go ahead and type in the names of the producer, the host, reporters, the calendar, sports, and special segment hosts. And of course, if the producer and the host are the same person, you would just put the same name twice. Also on the script, we have a link to music beds, and there is a folder on the Google Drive. If you simply click it and then click the link, it'll open up to the music beds folder. As soon as this loads, we'll see here we have the calendar beds, the music segment bed, the opening show and closing music, and sports beds. When we open up the opening show, we have the news bed music. It's 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And we have the wrap-up bed, which is 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Now, if your intro ends up being a minute and a half, that's fine. We simply fade it out at the end. We actually want these beds to be a little bit longer than we need so that we have a little wiggle room. And you see the music segment has its own piece, which that one can have some variety, but the calendar we want to keep pretty much the same every week. And we have a sports bed, so it's the same song every time, the same background music, and it makes that segment recognizable by our listeners. All right. We also have some preparing a segment with an audio bed in Audition. So in this one here, will bring us to a YouTube video that I produced that will help you create the edited bed that you need in Audition. And we'll be getting to that in class soon enough. So on each segment, we do have a place to write down the total show time, and in each segment we can do like the introduction, what the time ends up being, what the headline times end up being, and sometimes this is typed in, and sometimes this is even handwritten in on after the fact, because we don't know the time until after it's recorded. All right, so we have actual verbiage that is written in here. So it gives you instructions: start intro music, then dip. So actually the term should be duck. And the host will say, coming up this week on Teen Talk, and then we'll preview 3 stories. The music will swell, then dip, and then another voice. And we do try to use another voice when possible. And we always use this exact verbiage. Teen Talk is the Valley Teen Forum for the Valley Teen Voice and is produced by the Mat-Su Schools Career and Tech Media Program in the Colony High Studios. If other schools actually start producing, we can add them as well. Beat means we give a few moments, and then we can either slow down a little bit there, or we can add some additional headlines there. And let's take a look at a finished script from last year. We had actually listened to this script, and Taya, who was our host and often was the producer, but in this one she didn't, kind of had a little tweak of her own, which is fine. She would say, coming up this week on Teen Talk, what's up with Tay and the news crew, calendar with Michael, sports with Aaron and Tim, music with Christian, and more. Then we'd have our little Teen Talk is the Valley Teen Forum for the Valley Teen Voice. And then she would come back on and say, hey, coming up this week on Teen Talk, we have Teen Talks on Teen Talk and U.S. News and World Report ranks in the Valley. And she would go through her headlines here and then go in, hey, everybody, welcome to Teen Talk. You notice this is almost exactly what she said. And then there's some time for ad-libbing the banter when they talk a little bit. And then you can see they started putting some times down here already. So 21 minutes and 40 seconds is what the entire segment ended up being. She just typed it in the wrong spot. So here you see this is a little bit longer than sometimes it is, but they did a little background on what Teen Talk is, and they can read it exactly as printed. And if they want to ad lib from here, that's fine. Then the next story, please notice that each story is in bold and numbered, and we have a name of who contributed that story. As you type, don't put the name in. I don't know to give you credit. Here we are. U.S. News and World Report ranks Valley Schools in the top third in the nation. Now, you may not necessarily read the headline. We usually start right here. Each year, U.S. News and World Report evaluates and ranks every high school in the United States based on test scores, college readiness, student to teacher ratio, and diversity of students. So we hit with a lead statement or two as we get into the story. You can see here Tucker did this one. The one thing that is different from this script than normal ones is typically we find these stories online. In that case, we would add the URL or the web address to each story so we can go back and look at it. What was unique about this one, which I really liked, is all of our stories came from local, were local stories within our school. And then the Northern Sound, you saw Will contributed this one here. And so they actually, put down exactly what they needed to read. And then students wearing KKK costumes for a presentation at Wisconsin High School. Michael did not put the URL down, and he would have been docked points for not doing that. And sometimes if we don't do something, we might strike it out rather than delete it. And you can see we have music times in here as well. The calendar section, again, is scripted, as is the sports. What's not scripted, of course, is the discussion topics. And as long as everybody's familiar with the story, they usually do a pretty good job at discussing. Music segment, again, is scripted. And that was a nice big fat one. We didn't have a lot of extra segments because this one did go a little bit late. But the rap session, students were pretty well able to, look back over the script and just kind of recount each one and just sort of, talk a little bit on their own to finish it up. So that's what the script should look like. And of course, starting with the blank script, everything is here to just fill in the blanks. Up to 6 stories, but if we don't do 6, we just delete a couple. And some of the verbiage is already there. You just have to change what is in the lines and just fill it out as needed, depending on what segment you're doing. These special segments, of course, as you type in here, the script will grow and grow and grow. Lastly, when we do the show, we typically borrow some of the Chromebooks from a Chromebook cart, and instead of printing out gobs of paper, everybody has access to the script on their computer screen. And also during the show, sometimes people will do a quick Google search for something to contribute to the conversation. All right, so that's how the script works. From there, you simply need to find your story and summarize it, and we'll talk about that in class.